Alan Freed was the one that got caught, and when he went into the involvement of paying for acts under the table, they didn't find him guilty of anything. But Alan Freed, went to jail. And Dick Clark was just too popular with America. He had that personality and that smile and that energy and everything. And, the kids were dancing and having good, clean fun. So he became too political to prosecute, is what I think.
I agree. I think those things happen at all levels, right? What about Baker Street? That little pub there, does that have any significance to you?
No.
Okay. You want to hit Carpenter's Hall on the way out?
I don't know. I only played there once. I'd rather go to the Pandora. Maybe do that on the way back.
Okay.
I'm kind of anxious to get into Oakland and get that done before it gets...
Before the seediness starts to become
it's going to... Where I was born is pretty crazy right now. Well, not born, but raised. I was born...
You didn't have a bed, right?
I was born in the South.
You didn't have a bed for a while or something.
I slept on a recliner chair. I actually slept on my mom and dad's bed. And then when my dad came home from the gig, because he was working at Chevrolet 5 days a week and he was playing at night, he would pick me up and carry me, and my mom had a sheet on it. He laid me on this recliner chair, and that's where I slept. And I think we left that house when I was almost 13.
Wow.
We went to San Leandro, and San Leandro was really different. It was almost like a country location. There were fields and stuff, and I remember that when I got my bedroom, they put 2 beds in there, and I didn't have any brothers or sisters, so it's kind of weird me sleeping in one bed and having this room. The room really wasn't that big, but it was a nice bedroom. But I moved into the middle one in the hall, and I said, just put 1 bed in there so that I felt like I had my own room, and I put bolsters up.
So you had 2 beds in there at one time?
Well, no, they put 2 beds in the house on Wiley Street. That when I got my bedroom, there were small beds, and I just said, just put me in one room with 1 bed. So the other bedroom was smaller, and they put the 1 bed in there, and it was more like my own room. And it was a good feeling, but I was overwhelmed by the back bedroom at first. It was like huge, because I went from like sleeping on a chair to that.
Yeah.
So by the way, my dad sat in that chair in the front room in San Leandro every night. That became, well, it was already his, but
kind of like Archie Bunker's chair.
He sat in that chair and fell asleep almost every night. I remember when I was growing up, we had one television, and he'd turn it on, and watch whatever he wanted to watch. I think I watched American Bandstand, but that was before he got home from work. But all the choices were made, by him. And we watched family stuff, like everybody did. Ozzy and Harriet, and Father Knows Best, and I think he liked Groucho Marx, This Is Your Life, stuff like that. Red Skelton, we'd watch stuff like that together. But it was...
this is the late 50s.
Yeah, and it was bedtime for me was 10 o'clock. And it was weird because, I couldn't be late going to bed. And I used to put